to. We're about to go down, and you know just what to do. Cast your eyes to the skies and see what's there. Biological pollution, and they just don't care. Break your trance, your real I-ams. Take your chance, quick. Come on, people, it's time to wake up. Wake up! Everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it underway. Wake up! It's a cold word. No matter where you say it, you know that you'll be heard. Now you sucker MPs who think you fly. It's gotta be a reason, and you know the reason why. Why you put on your airs and you act real cool. Got to realize that you're acting like a fool. We got a brain we can use free from their arrogance. We don't have to live in psychological trance. There's no trance, somnambulance, it's transformance. Come on, people, and tell me what's the word. Wake up and give your face a slap. You don't have to live in this genocidal trap. Wake up, everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it underway. Dial L for love. Dial L for love. L for love? What the fuck? G for guitar! W-A-K-E up. W-A-K-E up. W-A-K-E up. Give me people W-A-K-E. For fuck's sake, wake up! Yeah, you pedophiles who think you fly. You're gonna get some justice and you ain't gonna hide. You think you own the court and you act real cool. Got to realize you're acting like fools. Rough justice says no justice. A remedy for me and you. Come on, people, tell me what's the word. Wake up! Everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it underway. Wake up! It's a cold world. No matter where you say it, you know that you'll be heard. Wake up! Everybody say, we're gonna bring them down and we lock them all away. Wake up! It's a cold world. We're gonna warm it up when justice is unfurled. Wake up! Everybody scream. You know we can do it if you get into the sea. Wake up! Everybody scream. Believe that we can do it and we can live the dream. Wake up! And give your face a slap. We don't have to live in this genocide trap. Wake up! Everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it on.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. It's Friday evening, Friday the 25th of March. That's soon come round. And as ever, I'm joined by Jason Young. No, I'm Andy Young. The other fella's Jason, isn't he? Jason Holmes. Good evening, Jason. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Andy. And how are you?
All the better for hearing your silky, booming voice now you've got that new mic. Sounds brilliant, mate.
Oh, good.
Been quite an interesting week, quite a few developments this week. I mean, first of all, we got all that business over in Brussels. Don't want to go too far into that because that's going to be covered by somebody else later in the weekend. I suppose the big announcement this week is as of Sunday this week, we've got a new host joining us, and that's Mark Windows with Windows on the World, which will be from 9 p.m. on Sunday night. So we look forward to that. Was hoping Mark would be able to come on and say a few words with us tonight, but he's got some commitments that he can't put off, so we'll have to wait to hear Mark on Sunday. And what else have we got? Oh yeah, we've got Guy Taylor coming up shortly, but Guy's got one of two things to attend to, and he should be with us round about 8:30. Other than that, what's been going on with you this week, Jason?
Well, I'm just sort of looking forward to the next few days. We've got quite a busy few days, like you said. We've got Mark coming up on Sunday, Windows on the World. It's an exciting new addition to Raconteurs News. Mm-hmm. We are slowly building up with a good bunch of presenters and people that can put good shows together that people really want to listen to. So, like I say, we've got sort of 4 shows in 5 days. So, we're on Friday today, aren't we? I'm thinking it's Thursday. No, it's Friday. No. Yeah, we've got a few shows. So we've got our usual show on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we've got the special with Diane Jessie Miller, who is the director and co-producer of Rick Mayall's last film. And of course on Sunday we've had a little bit of a sneak preview, you and myself tonight, earlier on, speaking with Mark. So it should be a very, very interesting show, and looking forward to listening to that. And there should be some new developments and additions to that show as he's going out tonight, and he's onto something. I think that's what we're saying in this business. He's onto something. So
that's it. Yeah. Well, I know that Mark's going to be speaking to Dr. Nick Colostrum and Professor Jim Fetzer, so there's quite a bit of knowledge on the false flag field there, and they've got some quite interesting takes on it from what I gather. But, also we were hoping that Mickey Summers would be able to join us for a quick chat tonight, because I know he's got some news to give out. If Mickey can't make it, we can kind of stand in for him and put that news out, but we'll give him a few more minutes, see if he can manage to get online. I haven't been able to get hold of him today, but you never know.
Well, it's a bank holiday weekend and Mickey is Mickey, so he might have had a couple of sherbets and forgotten where he is. I do recall going to Liverpool for a child abuse demonstration, and Mickey was there, and afterwards we were all congregated in a bar, and let's just say Mickey and a certain young fella called Frags, let's just say they were quite suitably refreshed by the time we left. But yeah, it was a great night it was a great afternoon over there in Liverpool, and he deserves to have some fun. So if that's what he's doing, then good luck to him, and I'm sure we'll catch up with him very soon.
Yeah, we all need to let our hair down sometimes, and hopefully that's what Mickey's doing. It's
but it has been an interesting week, hasn't it? I mean, we've had this Brussels thing. Which, like you said, we're not going to go into the meat on the bones and that, because, to be fair, I've not really been taking any notice of that in particular. What, as you know, I always look at what's happening around it and how the media are portraying it and how they're pushing it, and it just seems to be the same sort of thing as we had in Paris, but it seems to be a little bit diluted because nobody's got a Belgian flag over the Facebook picture at the moment.
I've noticed quite a few people saying anybody who puts a Belgian flag up on the profile will be deleted.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, because all it seems is that these events, to be fair, nobody can definitively say whether they're staged or they're real events or whether they're provoked, or I remember back in the day, when I first got into 9/11 about 2005, and we had sort of like 2 different camps at that point. Even then, we were divided, and so you got the my hops and the lie hops, and even some people couldn't even. The lie hops were let it happen on purpose, and the MyHops were make it happen on purpose. So even back then, the division was there within people that were asking questions, and as that's just exacerbated itself, and more people are asking questions, it seems to me that the more they're muddying the waters, the more obvious it's becoming, so that the people that are looking for anomalies and are looking for similarities between this attack and perhaps Paris and Sandy Hook and Boston and all these other things, they're deliberately placing things in there, just to make it sort of like just to keep them occupied. So for me, it's what are we not really seeing, and what are we being diverted away from? That's what interests me.
Yeah, it does seem that they're using the same old script over and over again, but they do seem to throw a few red herrings in to distract people away from what's really happening there. From what I've seen, it kind of seems to be following the script to the others. The early reporting says one thing, and then all of a sudden the story changes. I don't know if you saw that Belgian reporter. I think she was Belgian, a young woman with bleached blonde hair. Either that or she dyes her roots black. And she was being interviewed on, I think it was CBS or CNN or something like that. And she was stood at the ticket desk right in front of where the first bomb blew up. Now, there was complete carnage around her, but she looked totally composed and didn't look to have a scratch on her. So I thought that was a bit curious, Yeah, just as we say that we can't trust mainstream media to tell us the truth in the narrative that they're trying to put across, the same also goes for, you can't really expect them to be telling the truth when you sort of dispute something. If you see something, you can't have it both ways. I understand what you mean. There are anomalies and people pick up on these anomalies, but I think these anomalies are placed, and I think they're just to keep people occupied and keep people sort of looking in the wrong direction. Such as there's been these news reports of somebody who was supposedly there, who also survived Paris and also survived the Boston bombing as well. So they're in three. The chances of being involved in a terrorist incident must be billions to one. Particularly if you live in the West, must be millions and billions to one for you to be in the vicinity of a terrorist attack, and for somebody to be in the vicinity of three very recent ones is just, to me, it smacks of them taking the piss. They're taking the piss. Well, and also,
look, we can get away with this. Look at this. We can make you believe this.
Yeah, wasn't this young 19-year-old lad supposed to be a Mormon missionary as well? So perhaps It's not the Jesuits. Perhaps it's the Mormons that are behind it all. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I'll ask them next time they come knocking on my door, because they do come knocking from time to time on my door, the Mormons, a couple of Mormon fellas, and I've had them in. They've tried to convert me, but it's not worked. Not so far, anyway. This time next year, you never know. I might be at some terrorist attack somewhere, 3 in a row. Perhaps they've got you have these people that go on these roller coaster clubs, and they want to go on to the best roller coaster club. So they want to go to the best roller coasters in the world. So they save up all the money and they go all in these clubs and they organise trips. Perhaps this is what this is. You've got these people that are all going to terrorist attacks. They like the adrenaline rush. It's like a new sport. That's all I can think it is, because to be involved in one terrorist attack is really, really, really unfortunate. To be involved in three, I doubt that guy's going to have many friends in future.
No, I certainly wouldn't be carrying his bags for him next time he went on holiday. But it's like I've seen you say no end of times when these things are coming up. You're more likely to be killed by a bee sting. And to be fair, credit where it's due. Last Tuesday, when we had John Rappaport on with us, you did say, watch the terrorist threat get ramped up. It'll be planes and airports, or planes and trains. And lo and behold, what did we get? We got an airport and an underground railway station, or underground railway event, and you were pretty much bang on there. You said it'll all get ramped up till the end of the sacrifice season on the 2nd of May, and then it'll all die down again.
Which it will. I mean, it's so easy. I mean, you don't have to. I'm not sat here claiming to be clairvoyant. All you've got to do is just look at what they've done in previous years, and the same thing happens over and over again. Again, when I say plane problems, yesterday there was a story in fact, all I heard was the headline, and it said the Australian authorities said that some debris washed up somewhere, some island or other, was most probably from MH270. So they're bringing that back up again. The MH, were it 17 or 170 or whatever, the one that disappeared.
Yeah, that was 370.
I mean, which is 2 years ago again, in March. It was in March.
Yeah.
And so that was a story yesterday. So again, it's plane problems. It's just bringing up these plane problems, and they're put there specifically so that people are frightened of this is what it's about. It's getting people frightened season. It's after May 2nd. It's calm people down because we need your money. We need you to travel. We don't want you to be scared of going on flights because there's holidays to go on. You know, there's money to be made. There's an industry. But up until May 2nd, this is what will happen. After that, you'll still see terrorist stories. Don't get me wrong, but they will be so few and far between. And the main issue will probably be some disease due to that's transmitted by travelling at some point. I mean, diseases, you always think that anyway. If there's a disease somewhere, you always sort of link it with travelling and people getting from one place to another. So that's the summertime. That'll keep people in a state of fear. And I just keep hearing it all the time. I even heard somebody. I was in my van driving the other day, and I just flicked onto Radio 5, and I heard somebody actually come on and say there's no leaders in the world that are prepared to do anything about these terrorists. We need a leader who's going to do something about these terrorists, which again is all that person's doing is saying, "Oh, I'm so scared. I can't look after my family. I need somebody else to do it," because they've been put in a state of fear. So they're externalising their power. They don't believe that they can look after their family, and they externalise the power to a government, an authority figure, some sort of agent to save them. And that's exactly what they want. Hegelian dialectic: problem, reaction, solution.
You see, you might have got Ken worried now because he's saying, "Oh my God, are the ferries going to be okay, Jason?"
Oh, the ferries will be fine once Ken's on them.
Yeah.
As long as there's no sniffer dogs.
Yeah. And an interesting point there made by the captain. He says, well, it was 322 the other day, Skull and Bones number. Did you notice that one? Yeah,
that was the day that the incident in Brussels happened, wasn't it? 322.
Yeah. I did notice some people
didn't it happen at 9/11 as well?
Yeah, well, people were saying it happened at 9/11, but it appears that it didn't. It happened sometime just after 8 o'clock. So,
well, I don't know.
You know, these reports go out, and I think there's an awful lot of misdirection in there. You know, to basically ensnare anybody that's daft enough to jump on it and think they know all about it straight away, because they leave these little pitfalls there for you to, you know, just slip down, twist your ankle, whatever. And make you look a bit daft, to be honest, I think. But, yeah, I mean, 322, when I saw that in the Skull and Bones number, I thought, whoa, yes, there we go.
Again, another thing, that might just be a diversionary tactic. They might deliberately do it on these days that they know people are going to associate with.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody, really. I don't think there's anybody that thinks... Sorry, I don't think there's anybody that's got half a brain cell that believes that these incidents are solely Islamic or Muslim terrorists. I don't think there's anybody.
Well,
but what it does do, it plays to people's already deeply entrenched prejudices that they've had for generations.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of what they have all these sort of anti-racism campaigns, but they never really achieve anything. And also, all that does is it just to anybody that's stupid and thick, it says, oh, look, you can actually hate these people over here because they've got skin of a different colour. Whereas, if you'd have not mentioned it, they probably wouldn't even, in the first place, wouldn't even bother. So I think it's very much a case of we're being led by all these campaigns.
Mm-hmm. I see we've got somebody new in the chat room. We've got Millie there, and Millie's saying there's no trails in the sky today over Norfolk. Would it be they have to pay double time for a Good Friday spraying? Yeah, well, the question is, are there any pilots in these planes? Because I'm beginning to wonder if they might be remote controlled. I've even seen pictures of kind of weird-looking discs morphing into aeroplanes. So what the hell they are?
You still have to pay double, though. Have you not heard of the drones? Have you not heard of the Drones Rights Act?
Oh no, sorry, I missed that one.
Pay double.
I keep missing the new legislation. Yeah, and well, how could we forget? It's Ishtar weekend, isn't it? Easter weekend this weekend. So today's Good Friday, isn't it? Tomorrow, I don't think they've got a name for Saturday, have they? But it's for anyone who's able to make it. It's Real Change Leeds are having the meet-up at the Trinity nightclub in Pudsey. That's tomorrow from 1 p.m. And the raconteurs will be there in force. There's me and my other half. We're taking a couple of friends with us. You're going as well, aren't you, Jason?
I am.
And I believe you're taking your good lady with you?
My wife is, yes, she's escorting me. She's going to be my chaperone, so that that I'm a good boy.
So you behave yourself. That'll be all right.
Yes, I'll behave myself. Well, it's Easter weekend, we're both off working, so we need to spend we like spending time together, so she can start listening to some of my stuff.
Oh, lucky lady. That's all I can say. But yeah, there's who we got speaking up there? There's me, and we got Delroy, who was on with us a few weeks ago. I know Delroy will be captivating the room. He's a really powerful speaker, and more so when you're there live with him. I believe we've also got Lou Meg, who's doing sterling work feeding the homeless. She'll be talking about what she's doing. There's Wesley P. Hall is going to be there, and Jason Nauta and Russell Burton, obviously. And then there's a guy who's he's a veteran of the Iraq War, I think, who's going to be there. I can't remember his name. I don't know. Anyway, there's going to be a good lineup there, and there'll be a great crowd there, hopefully. It was a heck of a crowd last time was there, wasn't it? Somewhere 350 to 400 people. Yeah.
I just thought that you might be tonight giving us, the people, a sneak preview of your talk for tomorrow, your speech. I shall certainly be there. I'll be there carrying your feathery hat.
Well, I think now you're a telly star, actually. It'll probably be the other way around, me carrying your feathery hat this time.
Yeah.
We are going to get all this accusation of mainstream media now that Ken's making money for Pink Floyd and you're making telly programmes for BBC. I mean, you've got to be prepared for all this now.
Yeah, I do. There'll probably be a heavy media presence there, not just Raconteurs News, but we'll probably be the heaviest. Have we got Keno coming with us this time? Because I fancy nicking somebody's camera.
No, apparently all the ferries were full up and he couldn't make it back this time, so he's going to be back a couple of days late. But,
but it should be a good afternoon. We're going up and meet up with some people, get some good information. There's it's always nice to meet face to face with people. Get to see somebody, look him in the eye. You can get more of a. You can gauge more of a feel for somebody. I was wondering, just thinking about a guy coming on. Hopefully he'll be on in a couple of minutes, but we've not really heard anything from when we went to Liverpool. We've not heard anything since, the Liverpool.
From Roger Hayes, no.
Yeah, Roger Hayes. I don't know what's been going on. I did have contact with somebody who did get in touch with me afterwards. And then just subsequently disappeared.
Oh, right. We'll have to see if we can get hold of Roger and see what's going on there. See if we can give a bit of an update. Always good to keep people abreast of what's going on.
Yeah, always, yeah.
But as regards my speech, mate, you got no chance because I haven't got a speech. Nothing prepared whatsoever. I know, I think it's Lou Meg and Paul Webster. They're doing the talk, but I think the rest of us, we're going to do the kind of panel format where they'll be asking questions to the panel. So it's all pretty much off the cuff. So we'll just wait and see what happens, see how nervous I get, see how many times I have to nip out to the little boys' room, all that kind of thing. It
should be brilliant. And as well, it should be a little bit warmer.
Oh, I do hope so, yeah. Yeah, it's been warmer these last few days, hasn't it?
Yeah. One of the questions my missus asked when I said, you should come, let's go together. And she said, it's in a nightclub and do cocktails.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Sovereign Man joined us. Oh, yeah, that's Mark, I believe. Good evening, Mark. Nice to have you along, mate. Glad you could get here in time because I know Mark's often working late and misses the start of our shows, but I suppose it's helped him out a bit starting a bit later. And it's probably worth mentioning now, on the 15th of April, we've got Ole Damagard coming on with us, and that will be, for the time being, our last Friday show. What we're going to do, because it appears that a lot of people can't make the Friday shows, we're going to move it back to Thursday and see how that goes and see if that's more convenient from people. So, just to give you a bit of notice there, we will be moving to a Thursday after the 15th of April when we've got Ole on. But we've got a few good guests lined up for April. We've got Gary Heseltine on the 1st. He'll be giving us the latest on the UFO sightings in the UK and all stuff with hard evidence. And he'll probably be talking about his upcoming conference on May Day weekend down at Watford. Then on the 8th, we've got Zen Gardner coming on to speak to us. And on the 12th, we've got Chuck O'Celli from American Freedom Radio. Tony and I had a chat with him the other night on his show.
Yeah, I wanted to pick you up on that.
Go on.
Yeah, how did that go? I listened to the first half an hour, but I mean, it started at 1 a.m. and I was working the next day, so I didn't really. I listened to the first half hour. How did that go?
Yeah, it went really well. Chuck's a really switched on guy. He's done an awful lot of research on the JFK shooting and what really happened there. So it'll be interesting to talk to him about that. And he's kind of got a pretty broad knowledge, Chuck. So I suppose whatever comes up at the time, we can talk about that. And then we have Ole on the 15th. And then on the 19th, we've got Ed Haslam, who wrote the book Dr. Mary's Monkey. And I've actually started reading his book this week, and it's a bit of an eye-opener. I thought he might be one of these people who'd just come upon this story and written about it, but it appears the story's kind of woven throughout his life, and he has got various connections to it. So really looking forward to speaking to Ed. And then on the 28th, we've got Mark Devlin, and he'll be talking about mind control and the music industry. And we've got a copy of his latest book to have a look at, so we can get some idea what he'll be on about there. But this Tuesday, we've got Dr. Sarah Myhill. I know she'll be a great guest because she didn't see eye to eye with the British Medical Association, and there was a big inquiry into what she was doing, and she got some conditions imposed upon her, but she's still practicing and she's still healing people naturally. And then, like you say, we've got Diane Jessie Miller on the day after. So how's about we play another quick tune from Keno, and we'll see if we can drag Guy in, shall we?
Yeah, Guy's here, I think, yeah.
Oh, get out.
I tend the bailiff, but I did not hit no policeman. Oh no, I say I chin the bailiff, but I didn't hit no policeman. Going up in my garden, they're trying to break the door. They want to steal my possessions, 'cause a banker man, he wants more. But I say, I'm Jim the bailiff, but I swear it was in self-defense. I chin the bailiff. Oh, and they say it is a violent offense. Bailiff man always hated me. He wanted to make me go. When I asked for the warrant, he just smirks, and then he just said no. Chin the bailiff, but I swear it was in self-defense. I say I chin the bailiff, but I swear it was in self-defense. And he was a big boy. For 25 years I paid my way. The banker, he want more. Bailiff man says I can't stay, now he's breaking down the door. I can't take no more. I chinned that bailiff, but I did not hit no policeman. Oh, no. I chinned the bailiff, but I did not hit no policeman. My reflexes got the better of him when he tried to throw a punch. I dodged the blow and I took him down. And now he's out to lunch, and it only took one punch. chinned the bailiff. I say, but I did not hit no policeman. Oh, no, 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 no. I say, I chinned that bailiff, but that policeman come nowhere near me, man. For 25 years and I paid my way. The banker said he want more. Bailiff man says that I can't stay, so he's breaking down my door.
We don't need no bent policeman. We don't need deep forest drones. No dark sarcasm in the courtroom. Council, leave those kids alone. Hey, Council, leave those kids alone. All in all, you're just another prick gonna fall. All in all, you're just another pedo to maul. We don't need no family breakup. Stealing kids for dodgy deeds. Council cronies, Masonic morons. Grease the wheels of corporate greed. Hey, pedo, leave those kids alone. All in all, you're just another prick gonna fall. All in all, you're just another pedo to maul.
We can't take your kids if you don't pay your taxes. If you don't pay your tax, we cannot take your kids.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News, and thanks Ken and Susie for that break there. Some brilliant music, and I'm pleased to say we've managed to get connected with Guy Taylor. Good evening, Guy.
Good evening, chaps.
Evening, Guy.
Hi, Jason.
Well, it's not long since we've had you on, Guy, but it's been quite an eventful few weeks for you, hasn't it?
Oh, it's really full on. Well, since I last spoke to you, it's just not stopped really. So it's going on all over the place, and so yeah, busy in the courts and busy at meetings and all sorts. So yeah, it's full on. Been pretty full on this week.
Yeah, well, I noticed that only about 10 days ago you got arrested for failing to surrender to bail that you weren't on, didn't you?
Oh yeah. I wasn't thinking of that, to be honest with you. But yeah. So I suppose that was a day of rest in the cell, really. But yeah, that's right. We had police come round at on one Sunday night. Was it 2 weeks ago now? Was it? I don't. But a couple of weeks ago, they came round and started banging all the doors and flashing lights up at the windows. And I went into the back conservatory. Said, "What's it about?" And they said, "We want to arrest you for failure to surrender to bail." I said, "I'm not on bail." They said, "It's Welsh Pool Court." I said, "I've not been arrested, I've not been interviewed under caution, and I've certainly not been charged or bailed with anything. So show me the warrant." And he said, "I haven't got it with me." So I said, "Show me in any form, electronically, anything you want." And he said, "I'm not able to." This was an inspector with a few coppers. So I said, "Well, why should I come with you?" He said, "Because we'll break the door down." So I said, "Okay, well, I'll come with you then. But you can show me the warrant, as you're required to do under the criminal procedure rules, under section 13.5. And of course, when we got to the police station, they put me in the van. They had all the police outside our local pub across the road, so with the flat lights flashing, etc. So all my neighbours would get to see what was going on. And then when we got down to the police station, they still couldn't provide the warrant. They locked me up and said, "You'll be put in front of Welsh Pool Magistrates Court. There's no bail." I explained that I'm not on bail, so I couldn't. But they said you're going to put you in front of the magistrates in the morning. So that's what they did. They locked me up for the night.
Mm-hmm.
And they woke me up with a cup of tea in the morning. In the meantime, I said I want to make a complaint to the duty inspector because they'd arrested me for a failure to surrender to bail when I wasn't on bail. He wouldn't come down and see me. So I asked to see the duty solicitor because I thought I just want someone to record the fact that I've been brought down here, whipped down here and that. And they wouldn't come down and see me, but I spoke to someone on the phone and they said, well, fair enough. I said, "I just want you to make a record of what's happening." And I said, "They're going to whip me off to Welsh Pool tomorrow morning. I expect to see the warrant, as I'm entitled to see. Yeah. This is a criminal matter, it's not a civil matter. They're not going to bullshit me like so." That's what happened. So in the morning, they woke me up, and of course, I thought, well, they told me I'd be setting off about 8:30, and then they woke me up, and it was past the time. It was 9:30 or something in the end. And I said, "Well, I'm supposed to be in court in half an hour, aren't I?" "Oh," they said, the G4S guys are busy. And I said, "Well, busy? You know, they're busy while I'm banged up in here." So anyway, they did show up about 11 o'clock, and I started kicking off, and I said that I wanted to go to the Crown Court to take out a writ of habeas corpus for myself. Mm-hmm. And they did turn up, and I set off from there. They said it's about 11 o'clock in the morning, so they said, "Oh, it's going to take about 2 hours, but we're going to Aberystwyth now." And of course, I'd had the police. I told them if anyone rings up for me, say I'm going to be in Welsh Pool Court tomorrow. So people were getting prepared to go to Welsh Pool, and they changed the venue to Aberystwyth for some strange reason. So then they put me in the back of the what we used to call them sweat boxes. You know, they're these big aluminium type wagons, you know, with little tiny windows in the side. Yeah. And I've been in them years ago, back in the 90s, across London, you know, from a place called Lambeth Palace, where they hold prisoners. And I've been moved around London in one before, but I'd never been taken on a 100-odd mile journey in one, because it's a death trap, you know. You're sat in a tiny little cubicle, little aluminium thing, on a plastic seat. And it's deliberately built so you're uncomfortable the whole way. You know, you can't even put your feet down flat tidy. They've got like a slope in there. Oh. And they put me in that, whipped me off 100-odd miles to get me in front of the court. So yeah, interesting. That was an interesting time.
I'd like to know the legality of that. You know, because I've been in those little meat wagons where they've got a very small little cell, aren't they? So you've probably got one G4S person, and they're just like little cells, and they lock. So, I mean, I'd like to know the legality of those, because I've been in them, and to do a 2-mile journey to prison from a court is one thing, but 100 miles is a long way.
Yeah, that's right, Jason. I mean, it's, in all told, it's probably 110, 120 miles. And the point is, when the police handed me over to that private company, because of course it's G4S, and these guys, in fact, there's another name I think I've got on the sheet somewhere, but they were working for Civica or something, yeah. What they're doing effectively, as people have pointed out to me, I'm cargo at that point, and I'm a piece of I'm something to be transported around. So when they handed me over to the police, which we know are a private company, but handed me over to another private company, all the paperwork should have been correct. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been insured to take me over there. Simple as that. And so I brought this up. And of course, what happens if you have an accident? You're insured for me to be in this vehicle if you haven't got any paperwork. And of course, everybody knows nothing.
No.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm still looking into the legalities of it all. And I've made a complaint about it, obviously, and gone down and gone into the detail of the fact that, some people are doing some wonderful work out here to do with consumer law. And there's a new act that came out last October, and it's to do with all service providers. And of course, the Crown Prosecution Service, the Her Majesty's Court and Tribunal Service, they're all services. And whether they like it or not, this new act is for service providers, of which they are service providers. And it states in the act what it's all about. And in fact, I'll get the book out and I'll tell you about it. But yeah, so I mean, I want to know, what the legality of it is. And of course, when we got to the other end, they presented me in the court, and Tom Crawford and Mark and Peter and Daffyd and a few were there. And of course, that's a hell of a long way to come, and I'm really grateful. I'm grateful to have such good friends. And I apologise to anyone who had a wasted journey to Welshpool, of which I know there was a few. But I wanted to know what the hell they were doing with me. And it says in this act now, this is what it says. It places powers removing all vagaries over regulators and authorities with no defined exceptions. So I think it's pretty clear, this act. I don't think the Crown Prosecution Service or the Court Service are going to recognise that it affects them, because I mean, this is the trouble when you're dealing with these parties. They seem to have a level of arrogance, thinking that they're immune from everything. They think they're James Bond or something, that they've got a license to kill you or do whatever they want with you. So it's going to be interesting. When I was in the court, the first thing I said, and they take you to Aberystwyth Court, and I mean, it's a pleasure to be in a court like that. They took me into it took them 40 minutes. We got to the place in about, I don't know, 2.5 hours or 3 hours past. They were going pretty fast in that van. Uh-huh. But when I got to the court, to Aberystwyth, they had trouble finding the court, and so we drove around the town for a good half hour, perhaps 40 minutes. I was getting really angry because Aberystwyth is it's a fairly big place. It's not big enough to get lost like this. And I was saying to him, look, just pull over and ask someone, but don't ask a passerby, because could be a tourist, going to a shop and ask someone in there. I was shouting through the container light. Yeah. And they did pull over, and we did eventually find our way to the court. And it's a new court. It's built in the marina there. So when you drive in, you think, because I'm only looking through a little tinted window, but I'm thinking, where are they taking me? It doesn't look like a court. And when you get in there, there's all yachts and sailing boats all around you. And in fact, when they take you into the dock, you can see all the boats out through the window. So proper maritime law. So then the clerk of the court said to me, do you know what you're for? I said, no. I said, I've never been arrested, I've never been interviewed, I've cautioned, I've never been charged, and I've never been bailed. So how can I be here for failure to surrender the bail? I want to know. Mm-hmm. I want to see the warrant, and I want to know who signed it and who's got liability for it. And anyway, they still didn't show it me, but they said to me that she agreed, and she said the charge that you've been brought here for isn't an imprisonable offence anyway. So I'm thinking, well, excuse me, unless I'm much mistaken, I've just been locked up all night in the cell and dragged over here, for a non-imprisonable offence, you're telling me. So, right, okay, so by April the 4th, they've told me they'll have all the documents to me. I just came back to Hereford and I went straight down to the police station and made a complaint and went right through it with them. So, we'll see where it goes from there.
So you were you under investigation for anything prior to this? So that's a question from the chat room from Shellstar.
No, not to my knowledge, no. I mean, I'm probably under investigation by all sorts of bodies and people, but, you know, I've not been interviewed about anything and not been arrested for anything.
Well, interesting comment from Patrick. He says, I can't believe they couldn't find the court. The stench should have brought you there.
That's right, yeah.
The stench of corruption, presumably, that is.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also the point being, when they first arrested me and they said it was Welshpool I was going to, I thought, well, why are you taking me all the way over to Welshpool? When, you know, why not just take me, whip me in the magistrates in Hereford? But I thought, okay, we'll find out about this. And then when they took me to Aberystwyth, I thought, well, that's a completely different court. It's like a different jurisdiction. Well, why couldn't you? If they could have just quite as easily seen me in Hereford, surely.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder because, like years ago, you know, if I was wanted for something, they alleged that there was a court case on January the 26th, of which I didn't turn up. Which I couldn't turn up, I didn't know about it. But
yeah,
I said, well, why haven't you got me before now then? Well, why haven't you, you know, I'm still walking around the town. I'm still, you know, I'm only here perhaps two or 3 days a week, but I'm not, you know, I've not gone anywhere. Why would you leave it till Sunday night? Nearly 2 months later. It just seems odd, to put it mildly. And so yeah. And what was it you asked, Jason? You asked me something then. You forgotten it?
No, I just it was just a question from Shellstar that had just said, were you under investigation for anything prior to this? I mean, we you know, it's pretty. It's pretty frightening if the police can come and just take you without any paperwork, no documentation, nothing, and nobody seems to know anything about anything, but they're following some orders that somebody who's really way up is just saying to them, you've just got to do this.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, and like we've said there, because then once they're quite happy to hand you over to our police force, which we know really aren't our police force, they're private corporations operating for profit. But when they hand you over then to a completely, supposedly independent body and put you into the custody of them for periods of time, you know, it does it. I mean, it's frightening to think that that's going on. And I mean, I've always, you know, because I've always been involved more in the criminal law than the civil law. There's always been certain processes and procedures and, you know, stops and checks on things, and checks and balances on things, which that wasn't apparent on that in that case, or on this case now, because I was taken like I was taken after something that was supposed to have been issued weeks before. For something which I knew nothing about. So yeah, I mean, it is. But this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with it's a frightening world, and you know, that's going on at the moment with these people, and the orders followers are they're the ones ultimately liable, you know, because they should be checking the paperwork and making sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted.
Yeah, and then it shouldn't go any further once they've found one that's that one layer of. That's the I's have not been dotted and the T's have not been crossed, then that should stop it, the entire process completely. Yeah,
well, perhaps that's why these things happen to me. I don't know, but perhaps, you know, but that's right, and so we will pursue this, you know, relentlessly, because if this happened to somebody who's not used to being arrested, it would be a very frightening situation. And again, you know, I'm still not aware of what it's all about. You know, things go on with me all the time. But I can assure you, you know, I'm in court all the time. I mean, I've probably appeared in court 10 or 12 times since January the 26th. And when I go into court, everybody knows who I am. You know, I tell them who I am. I'm not trying to pretend I'm someone else. And so why on earth haven't they pulled me then? You know, so the whole thing just smells, really. And but ultimately, if we can do something about it, make sure it doesn't happen to nobody else, then so be it.
Millie's saying she wants to thank you, Guy, because until recently she only knew that they were two pleas in court, guilty or not guilty, and she said that knowing that no case to answer, if she'd have known that a while back, it would have helped greatly.
Right. Well, we've had. That was why I was over in Nottingham Crown Court yesterday. I've been helping. There's an elderly lady and her son. They were charged with having a cultivation of cannabis in a shop, in some shop premises above the shop, and I've been helping them. I've been helping the son originally, and the mother had a barrister, but she's sacked the barrister and asked for my help. So yesterday we'd made a submission of no case to answer on behalf of the son. The charge has been dropped to allow the place to be used now, but we made an application in front of Godsmark in Nottingham, and he set a date for yesterday, and we went there in the morning to hear the application. And of course, when we went there to hear the application, the first thing the CPS do, which seems to be standard requirement by these characters, they handed us a pile of paperwork saying there's more evidence come to light. So we quickly looked through the paperwork and could see that it was just nonsense. It was just obfuscation. They may as well have handed us a telephone directory or a dictionary.
Yeah.
So we went up for the application, and the judge is aware then that the mother had no longer got the legal profession behind her. She had me. But we heard the application on behalf of her son. The CPS tried their hardest to knock it away, but it was granted, and the case was dismissed against the son. So now they've got an elderly lady on a mobility scooter, who's a disabled lady, by herself in court for allowing premises to be used for the cultivation of cannabis. So the judge said to the prosecutor, he's certainly not sure that it's in the public's interest to carry on with this matter now. It's up to the CPS whether that carries on against the elderly lady. But of course, we'll find out. And there's a date being set for a trial for her. And if they want to set a trial for an elderly lady on a mobility scooter who's a devout Christian, who's never been in trouble in her life, and the judge allowed me to speak on her behalf regarding things, and I said the reason she hasn't got a lawyers is because she's been let down by the system. They've been trying to take money off her and not coming up to standard by not having any meetings with her, turning up in court at the last minute, and still continually trying to get money off her. And she's paid into a system all her life. She's 70 years of age, and she's paid into this system all her life, paid into the court service, and the first time in her life she requires the services of the court, they're not available to her. So she's had to come to me, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens with her. But it would be great. I hope the case goes away for her straight away. But if it does have to go before a jury, with myself and this lovely elderly lady, in front of a jury, as I said in court, that we're not frightened of juries. Juries are us. They're us, fellow human beings, and no need to be frightened of them. The judicial machinery is one thing, but it's all down to the jury when you're in a Crown Court trial. And I've got more faith in the jury, and I'm not as frightened of the jury as the judiciary are. You only have to have 3 people on that jury that agree with you, and the case is no more.
Yeah. So the lady, I mean, seems a bit of an odd setup, dragging an elderly lady into court over allowing the cultivation of cannabis.
What the situation really is, Andy, well, to try and give it a nutshell, is they thought that the son was growing cannabis upstairs. The lady's got her own shop downstairs, but she can't get up the stairs. She can't, she's physically unable to do anything. So rather than old detective work, if they think the son's got something growing upstairs, rather than doing old detective work and actually sit and wait for him to go into the premises, they just thought, well, we'll go and grab his mum, arrest his mum, and he'll, come down and bail his mother out. And of course, that didn't happen. And so they charged them both when they eventually arrested him.
Right.
So that was the position. And of course, he didn't speak to the police or have any communication with them in any way. And that's the thing. So they used her as a pawn to get to him, effectively, or because they thought that he'd done something. But there was no case to answer on his behalf. It was absolutely, it was a piece of hearsay. That was all really it was. So there was no case to answer. So the application was made. We made it very brief. We didn't try and explain anything. There was just no case to answer. If I charged you with a burglary in Sheffield last night, you wouldn't try and explain how it couldn't have been you. You just say nothing to the police and let the court try and prove it against you. And if you know damn well that you weren't in Sheffield, and you could prove that you weren't in Sheffield, then there would be no case to answer. And that's where we are. And I mean, at the end of the day, if they're trying to make mountains out of molehills, and they're trying to effectively stitch people up by overcharging them in courts. And so if they overcharge somebody, again, that's no case to answer. If you weren't there, it's no case to answer. If the crime's never happened, there's no case to answer. So, and to put in an application of no case to answer that's what they do. That's what is accepted. It means they don't want to waste the court's time. This isn't going any further. So, you make an application to the court for no case to answer. You get a hearing for no case to answer, and the judge will decide at that point whether he thinks there is a case or not. And in the case of the rooftop 6+1, upon a case of no case to answer, he said, well, I agree that the evidence isn't apparently up to scratch, but as far as I'm concerned, there is a case for the jury to hear. So that case then went forward on, and we had a week later, when the prosecution had its final witness. Of course, the judge knew damn well that, again, another application for no case to answer at the end of the prosecution case was going to be laid. Mm-hmm. Now, at that point, the judge is starting to put himself in a little bit of an awkward position, because if at that point he says, well, I think there is a case to answer, let's carry on, and you say to the jury, members of the jury, I'm not even going to present a defence. There's clearly no case to answer. Any person of reasonable standards would see there was no case to answer, and I'm asking you to come out with a not guilty. Now, if the jury went out and came out with a not guilty at that point, what would it mean? It would mean that all the way along I've tried to explain to the CPS, I've said to the judge there's no case to answer, and he seems to think there are, and yet you 12 reasonable people have agreed with me. So the only people who aren't being reasonable in this are the judiciary themselves and the judge who's had the opportunity to remove this, and he hasn't done it. So that on the last witness in that case, the judge is starting to gamble a bit on the table. They're all playing poker with you. Mm-hmm. And he's starting to up the ante. But the trouble is he's starting to engage in the poker game a bit then, because if the jury came out and agreed with you, then the judge is going to retire pretty quickly, because he's the only one who's been unreasonable in it, mm-hmm. when he's had the opportunity to save the public money for a start.
Yeah, to get rid of it.
Okay, Guy. Something we were hoping to do tonight was cover the latest news from Mickey Summers, but I believe you'll probably be quite up to speed on that, won't you, Guy?
Right. Again, I don't know whereabouts. Give me. I know quite a few things are going on with Mickey, and of course, I'm in contact with Mickey. Uh-huh. But I've not been around much for the last week, so.
No, fair enough, mate. Well, what it was...
specific area was it? If I can help you, I will.
Yeah, Mickey wanted to come on and talk about the fact that there has been the first conviction under Operation Daybreak this week, which is, I think he's saying is a big step forward, that it's been going on for so long and there's so much money being spent, but there's no convictions. And this week, there's finally the case of Andres Loggins, who was jailed for 20 years after he was found guilty on, I think it was 17 counts of abuse.
And it's fantastic. That's it's amazing, isn't it? You know, that's wonderful, and hopefully that's the start of more that's going to happen. You know, I mean, everyone's chipping away at this wall, you know, and it's the wall of everything to do with these people. You know, the whole system's operating as a private sort of club where they're up to all sorts of stuff like the sexual abuse and all that. And if we're able to do these things and get these people addressing these things and doing 20 years, you say, yeah?
Yeah.
But, excellent. I mean, that's wonderful. And I mean, I'm glad it's progressed that far.
Yeah, I just posted the link in the chat room there. It's care home worker. It's in the Nottingham Post. Former care home worker Andris Loggins jailed for historical sex attacks. Loggins was sentenced at Nottingham Crown Court on Wednesday after being the first former care home worker to be convicted under Operation Daybreak. Former social worker Andris Loggins has been locked up for 20 years after being convicted of carrying out a catalogue of historical sex attacks at a Nottinghamshire care home. The 57-year-old was the first ex-employee of a care home to be convicted under Operation Daybreak, a police investigation into claims of historical abuse at 13 children. They like that word historical, don't they, Guy?
Yeah. Well, he's going to be pretty historical for the next 20 years, or 10 of them. So, good.
Well,
I mean, this is great because I mean, we can, you know, we thought this stuff was just going to be continually gate-kept and covered up all the way along, but it's moving too thick and too fast for him now. So that's wonderful news.
Yeah, it does appear that the waiters' numbers are against them. There's so many people coming on board now and supporting Mickey and all the people he's working with that they've got such a deal of public support they can't be ignored any longer, can they? No, and this is what we need. We need the public support. You know, people just can't sit around and not take notice of what's going on around them. You know, I mean, I say, you know, before now, we need to test the pulse of some of these members in the public because, you know, if you're alive, then you should be seeing what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I know, you know, we've all been indoctrinated and brainwashed with television, etc., but you know, there's enough of us who've woke up now to really start pushing back on this, and you know, the tide's turning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it certainly seems to be the way. Everywhere I look now, I'm seeing a few encouraging signs. Yes, some of the same old bullshit still going on in some quarters, but more and more people are seeing through it, and more people are standing up for what's right, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What worried me about what's worrying me about. Like I say, I look at these events and I study how the media portrays them, and how we've got this situation with this footballer, this Premier League footballer, Adam Johnson, and he's been convicted. He's been locked up today, I think, for 6 years, or yesterday, I think, for 6 years for having sex with an underage girl. A number of underage girls he's been convicted of grooming and having sex with underage girls. Now, what worries me is in none of the reports is he referred to as a paedophile. Yeah. It refers to is underage sex and calling him a predator. Now, I did notice this a few years ago in America, that they started rebranding so that if somebody is engaging in sexual activity with somebody over the age of 13, they weren't considered a paedophile; they were considered a predator. And this is what worries me, is this is what's creeping in. And so, I mean, that's if you're downgrading how you refer to somebody that has sex with somebody who's a child, just based upon how old they are, then you're sort of moving towards acceptance, and that's what worries me.
Yeah, I mean, they dilute things, you know, and so yeah, I completely confer you on that. Yeah, I mean, what I find strange, to be honest with you, you know, if you're like some young footballer and you got the whole world at your feet, literally, including the ball, what are you doing? You know, I mean, there's enough girls out there for you. There's no, I mean, what are you doing? I really can't understand the mentality behind it. And like you said there, by watering these things down, you can find that maybe his licensing will be different when he comes out. So he won't be licensed in the same way as if it was, someone a couple of years younger. And so, and so, I mean, the whole thing is they dilute it. They dilute it for a reason. And like you said there, it's pretty much Occam's razor when it comes to a crime. You've either committed it or you haven't. And if you've committed a watered-down version of that crime, then it should be charged as such, not charged. But they can't do that because it's clear what's going on. So yeah, it is a concern.
Yeah, it is watered down in the media. It's the way that they portray, in one sense, young females, and they don't particularly have to be in these tabloid newspapers. They don't particularly have to be over 16. They can be 15-year-old girls, but they're portrayed in a sexual manner. And yet, then on the front page, you've got some outrage because some paediatrician's been mistaken for a paedophile and his house has been wrecked. It just shows what sort of society we're building for ourselves, and what sort of fire we're building underneath ourselves. I mean, we're getting to a point where we're at a point in history where information is so easily available. You can get to know anything at the touch of a button, no matter where you are, who you are, just about anywhere. You can find out anything. Yet ignorance is at an epidemic level. People are ignorant of just about everything that matters. And they're just consumed by things that really don't matter.
I'll tell you what, Jason. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people are pretty stupid, and this is why perhaps the information's not getting through to some sorts. I remember, I think it was in Bristol a few years ago, and some guys had set fire to a bloke's house saying he was a paedophile, and they burnt the place down. And it ended up he was a paediatrician, and someone had found him in the yellow pages. Now, I mean, come on, let's get right, yeah? You're not going to look in the yellow pages for a paedophile to go set fire to his house. But some people did it, man, So we can't account for just how dumb some people are, and that's what we got. We got a mixed bag, man. Mm. And they're easy to manipulate, people like that, I suppose, aren't they? Yeah, and divide and conquer. That's all we keep getting.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of evidence of that in the mainstream media this week, because there's all this business happened in Brussels, whether it's a completely fake event or whether it's a staged event in which people died, or is actually a terrorist event, which there is an outside possibility it might be. It's still leading people into this divide and conquer mentality of, all Muslims are bad, we've got to get rid of the Muslims out of the country, and you're just seeing so much hatred being spewed out from people, and they're just not getting it. This is a war on the people being conducted, and it's not one another we need to be hating on, it's the people who are conducting the war against us, isn't it?
Well, exactly right. And the tool they use to get people not thinking correctly and to help all this is fear. So when you're frightened, you don't do what you should do. You're not thinking correctly. You're frightened. You're scared. And that's what happens with a lot of people in court. They're scared. They don't want to be in that environment. And so they can see the machinery. They're stood in front of all the machinery with all the guys in their wigs and the court setup and the whole lot. And it's the same with the public with this terrorism stuff. You've already implanted the fear program. Everybody's frightened. Nobody's thinking correctly. Something must be done about it. Something must be done about it. And they're not thinking straight, and they're not getting the information, which is, as Jason said, is at everybody's fingertips. And 10 minutes, and you can investigate anything you want, no matter how bizarre it is. The world's flat. Go and have a look. You know what I mean? Every single thing. I question absolutely everything, right? So, I don't believe anything unless I can say it for myself. Not if somebody else tells me something, that's very nice. I'm glad someone's told me that. I might trust them. But, you know, the only thing, you know, that gives it the evidence to me is seeing it myself. And I think everybody should do that. And everybody's got the, as we said, the information at their fingertips. Get on with it. You check out all this false flag stuff, man. I mean, and that's what it, you know, we don't know who's telling the truth and who ain't. And the thing is, the mainstream media have been a propaganda machinery for this nonsense for so long. And now they've been caught out because the social media's ahead of the curve. And it's going wrong, boys. It's going wrong for them. So keep on doing what you're doing, because we just keep handing them a spade and they keep digging, you know, in every direction. No, and people I know before trusted the system, and a lot of them have got to trust the system because they got a lot invested in it. They got a pension, they got all this. But really and truthfully, like the copper, the inspector who banged me up a couple of weeks ago, I said to a couple of them, but I said to him, you know, he said, "Oh, I'm out of this in 3 years' time." I said, "And you honestly think," I said, "you're going to have your gardening gloves on in about 5 years and realise there's no pension coming in, and you go to the cash point, nothing's coming out?" I said, "You got to wake up. It's no good just trying to say you're bailing out." I said, "You know, you're an order follower, man. You're part of a cult, as far as I'm concerned." And you know, and you're. But this is what we're dealing with, you know. And people, the quicker they do wake up, and I think they are. I mean, the police are almost embarrassed in their communications with me. You know. But yeah, I mean, it's going on for everybody, and everybody's got to wake up to what's going on around them and what they're being presented with by the media, and what their investigations into that subject can reveal. And you know, all this stuff we've had, all this false flag stuff over the years. They're quite happy to admit all false flags after about 50 years. Have you noticed? You know, the Bay of Tonkin, the Reichstag. You know, it all gets sort of comes out. Oh yeah, well that was a false flag. You know, and
yeah, well nobody cares then, do they? It's 50 years later.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I completely understand what you're saying there, Guy. But yeah, we do. We need people to wake up. And I like you say, I do believe people are waking up, and we're going to Leeds tomorrow. To Real Change Leeds at Pudsey at the Trinity nightclub. We're going to be there tomorrow. So if anybody's in the area, get yourself up there. There's going to be a load of people around, all who think pretty similar to yourself, and get to meet some people and get to speak, and you can look in someone's eyes. That's a lot better, isn't it? You can see somebody's eyes, and you can get sort of gauge for what they're really about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was hoping to come to that, and then this court case came on me, and I've had other things going on around me, and I just wasn't able to do it. But I mean, yeah, I mean, this is what you need to do. I was at a meeting in Nottingham, was it last Saturday? And again, the place is, you know, we were packed out little place upstairs in a pub. And you can all communicate with each other, and everybody's got their own issues. And when they can communicate about what's going on, and like you say, look people in the eye and work out, you know, who's who and what's what. And we, you know, we all work with each other and for each other, and that's the way it should be.
There you go, Andy.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had my mic muted. I was just thinking... Oh, no, I got the time wrong now. I was thinking we'd been on with Guy an hour. We haven't. We'll leave it a little while longer before we play a tune. So, you've had this case with the old lady and her son in Nottingham, and you've been arrested yourself for no apparent reason. Is there anything else that's been going on with you just lately, Guy?
Yeah, I had a meeting with a lady called Carol Woods. I don't know if you know about her.
I have. Carol Woods is the social worker that's blowing the whistle, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm. And because of course she's being terrorised and gang stalked, and so I had a meeting with her the other day to try and see if we can sort out any sort of help for her, really. Because I mean, what's going on with her is it's stuff that I recognise from the past, you know, when they gang stalk people, and they it's called gaslighting as well, you know, where they try and make you feel like you're mad. I had a lady years ago, about 3 years ago, contact me because every time she took her child to school in the morning, there was a a human turd on a carpet in front of her fire. And she told all her family and her friends and thought she's going mad, and that's what. And she started to think she was going mad. But they do these bizarre little tricks on people, and they might tell the police helicopter guy, on a Tuesday and on a Friday, go over these coordinates and sit there for 10 minutes. And they don't know what they're doing. They just sit there, but it might be over your house. And then they'll have a group of people rent a bungalow around the corner from you, and there might be retired council workers and police, etc. And they might be, in their 50s or 60s, and they start cycling around the village. And they're there for a week, and then they go in the local pub and they'll say that, that bloke over the road, he drives his car a bit mad, doesn't he? He almost knocked us off our bikes the other day. And they start setting these little fires off all over the place and putting things into... And of course, you don't know about this, but you know that your neighbours are starting to look at you a bit differently, and people... And the whole thing that goes on, and then the next thing is they try nutting these people off. And I mean, gang stalking's it's a recognised tool. What they use against you, the police use it against you. The special forces will use it against you, and they work in conjunction with each other. This is what's going on with MAPA and that, and all these agencies that these multi-purpose agencies that communication are writing stuff about you. And when you try getting to the root of all these things, you find out that people aren't who they say they are. So you might have social services involved in a case, and you find out that the social worker's not really who they claim to be. They're using different identities. And, it's got to the point now where if you've got a neighbourhood watch in your area, it's a local Stasi group. This is what's going on. And anyway, so that lady's been gang stalked amongst all the stuff that she knows. And so we're trying to help her as much as I can. And, God bless these people. God bless these people that are coming out and whistleblowing, and they've got to be fully supported. And all the child cases, they've got to be supported. These people, and we're going to get flakes, and we're going to get people who are plants and pretending they're in these positions, but they're getting easier and easier to recognise because people's filtering systems getting stronger. And yourself, sometimes you get people around you, and then you think, well, they might be odd, and they might be odd because they're a bit autistic. They're perfectly decent, intelligent people, but they're a bit autistic, so their mannerisms are a little bit awkward. And you start to recognise them, and then just hopefully then people's spidey senses will be stronger for the ones who are infiltrating and creating havoc, and we can pull them out fairly quickly.
Yeah, I know people will find it. Some people will find it quite fantastic, where you get all this gang stalking and the way that you describe it and how they infiltrate in different ways. But I believe I've been a victim of that, and I know that you've probably been a victim of that as well. So it really is real. I mean, they really do go to these extreme lengths, and it doesn't seem that any cost or anything comes into any equation. They'll do the most ridiculous things.
Well, I mean, I've got first-hand evidence of this from back in 1989 till 1991. I was put down as being a target criminal, and that means that the local police force, for 3 months of every year, can go to central funds, but they have to monitor you. And I didn't realise this, but when I was in court in 1991, of course, all this stuff came out, the International Organised Crimes Branch. So this is, but they monitored our phone calls for 18 months. They had every phone call, everything that was said, and they'd followed me around. And what they'd done is they'd gone to the local garage where you hire cars, Ravenhills in Hereford, and they organised for 6 silver cars. Now, so you might think you're being followed around by a silver car all day. It might be different makes, and you think, I keep getting followed by silver cars, and you get a little bit. And of course, this is the sort of thing they do. So you can understand them doing it in the sense if they're trying to infiltrate criminal stuff. But of course, what I think is happening now is that the movement that we're all involved in, in waking people up and is causing them far more damage than some criminals up to some minor escapade. And so the funds and the costs don't mean nothing to them. And they don't anyone who's got their fingers on the purse strings of this country appears to be operating in a criminal manner. I won a court case, and I asked for reasonable costs of £5,000, £2,500 of which were to pay for solicitor's fees I'd already paid. The other £2,500, the case went on for 2 years. The other £2,500 was just literally for my petrol and appearance costs over 2 years. And I got a notice back off the CPS with a big bundle of documents, which I can recognise now probably cost about £10,000 to make, with their costs, and telling me I couldn't have it. So, and stating case law, etc. So what I think is happening is, imagine rather than paying a member of the public the £5,000 that they're reasonably owed, they've gone to the expense of getting £10,000 worth of documents to knock my £5,000 out. And I think they don't care about us. They don't. The public, that's their purse. It's their money. It's not ours. You know. The same thing with these MPs voting to take 30 quid a week off people who are disabled, and then giving themselves a 11% tax rise. I mean, these people, they don't care. We're dealing with we're dealing with flakes, man. We're dealing with crooks.
We're dealing with wankers.
Yeah, wankers. You couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Some of the things you see, and it's like the old saying: doctors are destroying health, lawyers are destroying justice, policemen are not protecting the people they're paid to protect. They're not keeping to their oath. Dentists are destroying people's teeth in the name of making money. And once you realise the whole world's upside down and most of these people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're doing the complete opposite, then you can start to make sense of it, can't you?
Yeah, well, because they're all trying to make money for private corporations, and so they have to have more of it. I mean, if all of a sudden they sorted the dentists and there was no more people needed to go and get their teeth fixed, they'd be out of business. Same with the police. Same with the courts. Mm-hmm. You know, I say it's casino. I call it casino law. You know, we're going in there and you just you chuck your chips on the table, man, and they're all just they need more court cases. They need more everything because they're greedy people. And I can't recognise myself. You know, I wouldn't want to be part of that system. What they're doing to people? How could you? You know, we might be here for a very short space of time. We could all be dead tomorrow, and so why would you want to be doing that? You know, robbing for the future. You know.
Yeah, but we've been brought up into such a society that covets material possessions, and that material possession means that the more material possessions you want, the more you have to shit on your fellow man, if you'll pardon the expression. Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly what you got. They're pumping that into the kids from the moment you put in front of the telly in a lot of houses. And they want it. Buy. Me. That's all it is. And it's more toys for monkeys, as Terence McKenna says, isn't it? You know, and that's all it is. It's all this stuff is. You want a better car. You want a better this. You know. I mean, I bought Linda a brand new car in 2004, but I've never bought myself a new car. I thought, who want to buy a new car, man? You know, it's a waste of money, isn't it? Waste of time. You know, I don't need that. You know, I want to make sure there's something that's reliable enough. You don't go trying to get better, bigger, and better vehicles, and you know, it's like a disease, man. And I think some of these people, it just completely takes over their life, you know. And they're the ones who are running the show at the moment. So, and there don't seem to be many exceptions to that rule, really and truthfully.
Oh, we're getting quite a few posts there. The other main players in organised stalking programmes are the Freak Mason scum. That'd be interesting. I've seen that there's a lot of ex-police and military, and also it's like the paid trolls. They've got an army of people out there involved in all these things. I wouldn't be at all surprised to learn that Freemasons are involved in it, because they seem to be involved in everything, you know, from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stalking programs are just, they've been around for years. And again, you can, at your fingertips, you can go and find out on the internet about these things quite quickly. And of course, I come from Hereford, which is a military town. You know, it's where the SAS is based and that. And I know a lot of people. I went to school with kids whose dads were in the SAS, etc. And then they joined, and so I'm aware of all of this stuff that goes on. Anyway, you know, when I was a very young man, and but I mean, I always presumed that this stuff was going to be done for the best interest. You know, if they're trying to infiltrate terrorists, as we thought they were then, or whatever. But you know, they're just doing it to everybody now. You know, not everybody, but you know, anybody who's trying to make a noise about anything, seem to be open to these individuals. And so Masons Masons are probably behind a lot of this stuff, and you know, I mean, a lot of Masons who are the first 3 degrees or whatever don't get to know. They just think it's a club where they're all doing a bit of business with each other. But it's all about business, isn't it? That's what these people think, and everything's a business to them, but including our lives, which is you know, why we've got the problems we got.
Oh, and we've just got a question there from Shellstar in the chat room, and it's asking, Guy, do you have a military background?
Do I have no? I went to Borstal when I was 18. We used to have to make bed packs, and I had to wear them black cardboard boots around the place and parade and all that. But that's the closest I ever got to the military. I went to Borstal in 1981. So no, certainly not.
Absolutely not. Okay, Guy. Well, I've just looked. You've been on with us an hour, so let's play a tune, and we'll have a quick break and freshen up, and we'll be back in about 4.5 minutes. Here's another one from Ken and Susie.
We're gonna catch those rats. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna trap those rats and stick them in a zoo. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. Decisions that they make and you don't know. You just see they're taking all your dough. Underspend it here, underspend it there. There's no accounting, so they don't care. Rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? Rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? We're gonna catch those rats. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna trap those rats and stick them in a zoo. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. Rats in the council making dirty bits, formulating plans what to do with your kids. Keep your nose clean and do as they say, or the family court will take your kids away. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. Rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? Rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? We're gonna catch those rats. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna trap those rats and stick them in a zoo. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. With the Masons and the morons, who you gonna trust? The police and the courts, a system so unjust. Don't you think that you can run away? 'Cause they'll track you down to the USA. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. Rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? Rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? We're gonna catch those rats. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna trap those rats and stick them in a zoo. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. Rats in the castle, now in plain view. We can see everything they do. Now it's clear we can see the day. We're gonna take them down and lock them all away. Whoa, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. There's rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? Rats in the castle, what are we gonna do? We're gonna catch those rats. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna trap those rats and stick them in a zoo.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News, bringing you untwisted, unsweetened news on raconteursnews.com. And I must just mention, forgot to mention at the start, we've now got a shop on the site. So if you want to get yourself a Raconteurs News T-shirt, like myself and Jason will be wearing at Leeds tomorrow, and we wear all the time, then you can get one on the site, and we'll post that to you. And anything that we raise from selling these will go to help keep us on the air and improve the service we're providing. We've got all kinds of improvements in the pipeline. We've got new hosts coming on board all the time, so we do need a little bit of help out there. And also, if you don't want a T-shirt but you've got a few pounds to spare, or you could spare a couple of pounds each month, there's a donate button on there, and you can either make a one-off donation, or if you feel you like to make a regular monthly donation, you can also do that. So that'd be much appreciated. Welcome back, Jason, and welcome back, Guy.
Good evening, Andy. Yes, and I'd just like to say as well, if you want to go and call in to the Raconteurs News shop on your way home, you can get some milk and bread, and perhaps some beans and some tea bags or something like that. So, yeah, there's everything for everybody there, isn't there, Andy?
Well, yeah, maybe soon, but just now we've only got T-shirts in there. I know we've got one or two exciting products in the pipeline that we will be bringing online very soon. Tony's working away on that. Big thanks to Tony for all the hard work he does behind the scenes. And big thanks to everybody who does all the hard work behind the scenes. There's so many people helping us out all the time, isn't there, Jason?
Yeah, it's we're creating a bit of a community between us.
Yeah.
So we've got regular guests coming back, just like Guy Taylor. How you doing, Guy?
Very well, thank you, Jason.
Good, man.
So
yeah, I mean, creating a community, that's what it's all about.
That's right. And have you got anything in the pipeline that you can talk about, Guy?
Whoa. Well, this summer should be interesting because I've got a lot of liens that have been floating around for years, going back, so they're quite mature now, and so I'm there's going to be some interesting activities going on, and that's the thing. So there's going to be a few interesting developments in the summer. I'm on my own behalf and hopefully on other people's behalf. So, but I'll keep you in touch with what's going on and where, like.
That's brilliant, mate. Yeah, we're always glad to get you back on when you've got something you need to bring us up to date with. We have got a couple of questions. Carrots is asking, has Guy come to the conclusion that there is an occult angle to the organised stalking / harassment programmes that are so rife?
Well, I think there's an overall occult angle to all of this stuff, really. Yeah. Even in the courts, you see it, and it's all to do with spells and spelling words, and this is what it's all about. And even when you get forms in court, you have to spell on the forms, otherwise they are void, because to be void, it has no form. And so I think from the top down, it's pretty occult in its nature. I think when it comes to the gang stalking stuff, I think it appears to be more militaristic. So it's more, they've got an agenda. They're going to make you go mad by hearing voices in a loft and having crap on your carpet or whatever. Mm-hmm. And maybe that. So I think that's more militaristic, but it's operated probably by the string pullers or occultists. Yeah, I mean that's the way I look at it anyway. I mean, and I think we're all becoming aware of the nature of the occult that's going on around us every day. And imagery and all sorts.
Yeah, to be fair, occult, the strict definition of the word, means hidden. So the motives behind this are always well hidden, because if it was out in the open why they're doing this, people would just be up in arms about it. Or you'd hope they would. We have got another question, and that's from Drocker. And Drocker's saying, well, it's something I noticed just before they closed Parliament for the Ishtar holidays. They just quietly slipped in there that the land registry has been privatised. That's quite a big deal, isn't it, Guy?
That's a massive deal. But if I'll answer that secondly. I'll tell you what, occult, yes, it means hidden, but if they hide things in plain sight, it gains in power, really. Yeah. And this is what a lot of the stuff's going on. It's hidden in plain view, yeah? And so, yeah, that's that. I mean, so, yeah, it is occult nature on that one. But, yeah, on the land registry, I mean, I read that and I was, took a step back thinking, well, because the land registry is one of the biggest corrupt devices in this country. And it's been a tool of the state to rob all the estates of the public. And every day I get lots of emails. I mean, we're talking lots of emails concerning people getting their properties robbed, people who haven't any mortgages, that are getting their properties stolen. And of course, it's all being allowed to go on through the land registry. They're ultimately like the vacuum cleaner for people's properties for these banks and for the government itself. So yeah, I think that's I thought that was an amazing thing to see that they've done this again through the back door, and they've just sold it. I mean, all they're trying to do really, it's like when they steal your property, they'll try and sell it as many times as they possibly can to remove themselves, thinking they're removing themselves from the original responsibility of doing it correctly. And of course, all property that's stolen goes back to the original source when the crime's been brought. So, if you steal a car and if it gets sold 10 times, it still goes back to the person who had it originally stolen, because all the people that had bought it in the meantime had been ripped off. And so, yeah, I think the land registry, I think they've privatised it. They're basically just showing us that this whole thing is a fraud, and it's too much going on for land registry. Do you know, it's only about 3 years ago that they created a land registry fraud department. And at that time was when myself and other people were on their case, because we'd sort of woken up to the fact that they didn't have any documents to support changing the registration of properties. And so we were giving them plenty of aggro. And the next thing is they said that they've set up this fraud line, which itself was a fraud. And if you rang it up and you got through, you'd get fobbed off and all the rest of it. So they just got an office with some YTS staff in there or whatever, and give them a load of words to read out to people. But yeah, so anything to do with the land registry, it shocks a bit of me from a few years ago, but now it's obvious what's going on, and we're all being defrauded, and the land registry is part of their tools, and it looks like they're trying to sell it to their mates now. I don't know what's going on.
I've got this vision of this evil genius whose goal to take over the entire world was to buy the land registry. Some sort of like Austin Powers type evil genius. Because I mean, you're selling the land registry. That is the greatest tool. What you're doing is you're selling authority, aren't you? You're selling, because if the land registry say you own. If you say you own the land, you own the land. If they say you don't own the land, you don't own the land. So that it's a huge tool for somebody to have control of with regulations that only apply to corporations.
Yeah, some like Bond villain, like George Soros or someone,
That's the one, yeah.
He sat there cackling away, like, yeah. Then it's all about enforcement. And so if they tried saying, imagine if Germany, instead of going to war with us or whatever, had bought the land registry and said that they owned all the land, so fuck off. Yeah, I mean, it would have. We wouldn't have all said, oh, okay, then you lot own the land now. We'll all move up to the Shetlands or something. I mean, it's all right. They can do what they want with these bits of paper, but they've got to enforce it. Yeah, and they got enough problems enforcing it with coming around to people's houses one at a time. So. It'd be. I mean, whatever goes on, it's part of what it's all about. This matrix, in it. So we'll deal with it as and when. But yeah, interesting, really interesting.
But there's plenty of propaganda on enforcement on the TV, so a lot of people will see that, and if they get even a letter from that suggests there might be some of the stuff that they've seen on TV happening to them at their home, they're just going to capitulate. So. That's a huge tool for them as well, is the propaganda. So you don't have to necessarily be able to enforce every single case, but because 19 out of 20 will probably just capitulate.
Yeah, can't pay, we'll take it away, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just more fear mongering, isn't it? And that's why we've got to stick together, man. Because when we're strong as a community in communities, then they've got problems, you know. And you know, if they can pick us off one at a time, they will.
Yeah, well, I did have a conversation with a friend this week who has been followed around by a film crew for quite a while from Channel 4, I believe it was. And they assist people with fake warrants and bailiffs and that sort of thing. And they've had this film crew following them around, but they haven't been filming because they haven't got the green light to do it. And he finally said, after what happened with Panorama this week, and several people's copyrighted footage was stolen and used by the BBC to portray something quite different to actually what happened on the day. He said, look, you've had all this footage, we've given you all the information, you're not doing it because you can't get the confirmation from the higher-ups. Now the BBC have come in and stomped all over what we're doing by using our footage in a misleading way. So I don't think you're going to get any more cooperation from these groups, because they're just sick to death of, you know, it's almost like it's an intelligence operation rather than an actual documentary being made.
Yeah. If you can't hear the jackboots marching, you must be deaf. And it's coming at us from all angles, yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that thing I saw, I was completely gobsmacked when I saw it on the BBC. I mean, there's a couple of people who were resisting fake warrants. In one case, they got the door bashed in. In another case, they tried to get in. The locksmith even tried chiseling the hinge pins out the door. I was actually watching that live as it happened via Skype. And they just portrayed it as, well, if you don't pay, we'll just get one of these warrants quick, and you know it's no sort of sweat in the magistrates' court, because they just sign them all one after the other. It only takes about 5 minutes for a huge load of warrants, when in reality I don't think they sign any of them, do they? They just put a stamp on it, and they made out, right, that's what's going to happen. If you don't pay, they'll just come around, bash your door in, fit meters, where that's... You know, that really isn't what that footage was about, and it's just a big psyop on people. You've got to wonder how much involvement British Gas had in the plan for making that programme, because it all seemed to favour the illegal way they're acting.
Right, I haven't seen that. I'd appreciate that if you could send that over to me, yeah?
Mm.
But
yes, some of the footage on there, Guy. Some of the footage was mine. I know Andy were trying to avoid saying that in case I didn't want to say that, but yeah, it was my footage when they smashed their way into my house and fitted a prepayment meter. And the thing was, I didn't give the BBC any permission to use the footage at all, and the way that they portrayed it, I think they probably caused more aggro for themselves than they really know, because this is all subject to criminal. This is all to a criminal investigation against the police officers that smashed their way into the house. So. I'm currently. I've been in touch with the BBC, and I'm just waiting a response from them. So yeah, it's all very interesting. But they use the footage, and they try to make it out as though, you know, they had the right to do what they did, whereas they didn't, because they've got a real problem at the moment, because they can't find there is no trace of a warrant at all.
Well, Jason, I'll tell you what, you know, just from what you've said there, right, we got to look at it like this. Just supposing there was a warrant, and it was signed by a magistrate. It was signed under the Utilities Act, yeah, in the 50s, yeah?
Yeah.
Which means that they broke in because there was a problem with the utilities. So maybe your house had a cable that people could see outside was sparking away, or there was a smell of gas coming from your house. That's what they get that warrant for, if they had one signed. But of course, we know the crack. These things don't go through the correct procedures because they can't get them through, because no one will take responsibility and liability for these things. So if they had half a lawyer with them, they would have known that just that action was completely wrong. And so, I mean, that's interesting that they've done that with it all. But I mean, I haven't seen this, so I'd be really interested in watching. I'll watch that tonight later on.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
I've just dropped you the link in Skype there, and thank you, Drucker. Drucker's just dropped it in the chat room so everybody can have a look at that as well. You will find Jason on there at about 21 minutes.
I look forward to it.
You can hear me. You can't see me, can you? You can hear me, though.
No, that's right, yeah.
Bear in mind, I mean, after this, because after this, I suffered a heart attack, and I was telling them that I was vulnerable. I was disabled. I'd got a heart condition. I've got a blood condition, and I'm disabled. There was my stepson was in the house with me. He's type 1 diabetic, which is enough to stop them putting an electric meter in, because we need a constant electric supply, because he's got insulin that needs to be refrigerated. So they can't put a meter in, and I told them all this. This is all. If people want to go and find the video of the whole incident, it's about half an hour long. It's on YouTube. If you search South Yorkshire Police Criminal Gang, that's South Yorkshire Police Criminal Gang. The whole thing is in there. But the BBC just think that they can ride roughshod over people, and we need to stand up to them.
Yeah, I mean, and what they're doing really, in some ways, they're giving you great evidence for any actions, because, I mean, the police officers were all in breach of Section 26 of the Criminal Justice Act, yeah? Mm-hmm. And so what I've started doing now is, I mean, like when I went to the police station about the complaint about them arresting me a couple of weeks ago, I took down certain documents and so notify these characters of what they've done is wrong. Notify them, and we need insurance details off all these people, yeah, because there's going to be a claim against them, yeah. And yeah, I mean, yeah, looking at it the other way, I mean, they shouldn't have done that, and but they've given you some great evidence. So hopefully, the footage is good evidence and got some faces in it, have they?
Oh, it's got faces, it's got numbers, it's got names. I've even got them telling me that. They were one outside. I said, listen, if you smash your way into my house, I'm going to have you sacked. And he said, oh, it doesn't matter, I've got my pension. And I said, no, well, you won't have your pension after Tories have got hold of it. And, you know, after government have got hold of it. You're not going to have a pension. Don't worry about that. So,
and where are you going to live? And where are you going to live? Because I'm going to have your house. I mean, this is the mentality of these people, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, they've done so. There's a bit of me that says, write to them and thank them for getting all that footage for you. You've got all these actions against all these parties now.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, and it's the only way to behave. I remember years ago when 5-6 years ago, people were saying we shouldn't be having to go at the individual coppers and all this and the individuals, but they're the ones who were enforcing all this stuff, man. You know what I mean? They're the ones who are only doing their job and following orders, and they're the ones we have to take it to them, and take it to them individually if necessary, because you see, the police can't be, you can't get an insurance policy for committing a crime. And so the police can't, if they go in committing crimes, the police are going to be responsible, but also the individual officers who didn't do their diligence to find out what you were saying was or was not correct. They're not supposed to be engaging in this activity. And the fact that there's probably not even a warrant at the bottom of all this, we're just living in lawless times, and I keep saying it's the Wild West, man, and that's what we're dealing with, and I'll look forward to looking at that, Andy, Jason, sorry.
Yeah, I had I thought you'd enjoy. I think you'd like this, but I had a conversation with a chief inspector who is dealing with the initial complaint, and he was trying to tell me that Section 26. Of the Criminal Justice Act in 2015. He said that only refers to actual organised crime. It was for corruption, for real bad corruption and organised crime. It wasn't meant for this. And I said to him, I said, well, no, I don't agree with that. I don't see anywhere where it says that at all. And what you're doing is you're interpreting the law in the way that you want to do. And then he quoted me that the constables were protected under the Constable Protection Act 1750. That's what he said.
Outrageous, isn't it? I mean, these guys, they're doing this straight in front of your face. I mean, thanks for your interpretation, officer. And yes, it probably is to do with crime gangs, organised crime gangs, of which you may or may not be a part, if you're a Mason. And please go and refer to your own police operation, Operation Tiberius in 2002. Because this is what's happening. I mean, Miss Riebert used to say that the police have been brainwashed by criminals in the judiciary. And this is the sort of nonsense you're getting out of these inspectors and chief inspectors, yeah? They're told by their legal department that what they're doing is perfectly correct, but it's their job to go and make sure what they're being told is correct. And what him giving you an interpretation like that is, well, there you go. I mean, they're making legal determinations now. The senior police officers, and that'll be the next thing, won't it? They'll be trying to say that they're making the laws up for us. I've said that I wouldn't be surprised if they walk around with a big piece of cardboard saying, "It's the law," and every time we start asking them questions about stuff, they just pull out this piece of cardboard saying it's the law. It's written here, mate. I was given this by my chief, and that's where it's all going, boys. It's unless we do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. The totalitarian tiptoe, as I call it.
Yeah, it's not. They're not tiptoeing now. Though so much they're running. Well, they're running on. They're like ballet dancers now, aren't they? Jumping around.
Yeah, ballet dancers on steroids now.
Yeah.
It does amaze me at how. I mean, when we were kids, coppers would give you a clip round the ear, and threaten to tell your parents, that sort of thing. But now they're just thugs. So many of them. Yeah, they're probably some perfectly good and respectable police officers. But the ones that are being filmed day in, day out, it's all over YouTube, Facebook, wherever you care to look, they're just like steroided thugs.
Yeah, knuckle draggers.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there has to be some balance as well. I mean, I know of a couple of years ago, a family member of a distant family member of ours, a 16-year-old lad. He was out on his motorbike at night and he got stopped by a police officer. He shouldn't have been out on his motorbike. He had no lights and he got no insurance. This is out in Lincolnshire though, so the copper knew him.
Mm-hmm.
And said, "Look, just go home." And then the kid went off on his way, give him a clip round here, like you say, and sent him on his way, and the lad ended up crashing his bike and killing himself. So I do understand that there has to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted. We can't be anti-police, and we can't be completely, one side or the other. We need to have some balance.
What we need is accountable policing. Yeah, at the moment it's not accountable, and that's what's going on. There's no accountability, and what happens is when you make complaints or when you do anything, you end up going to a gatekeeper who they fob you off. There's none of these regulatory bodies overseeing any of this stuff. We get it day in, day out. They fob you off. They're gatekeeping things, and we just need everyone to be accountable and responsible for their actions. And unfortunately for that copper that night, he thought he was doing the right thing, but he wasn't. And so you've got to accept the responsibility for that. It's not good, is it? And but I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah, as long as there's balance, then that's okay, innit? There are some decent coppers about. Not very many, but there are some. We don't really want to alienate an entire group of people just simply because of some bad experiences that we've had, with the counterparts.
That's right.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some of the good stuff the coppers do on YouTube, but unfortunately, it's nearly always bad. And is it because nobody's filming when the good things are happening. I don't know. But I mean, yeah, it does seem to me that there's a large portion of the police now that, like you said, they're not what you'd recognise a policeman to be. They're doormen, really and truthfully.
Yeah.
And
well, the only examples I'm seeing of compassionate policemen usually involve dragging dogs out of rivers, and I'm thinking, well, why not have a bit of compassion for human beings? But yeah, I'm sure there are examples. Probably people just don't film coppers when they're doing a good job,
Yeah.
But, no, it's been fantastic for you to come on and join us again, Guy, and I'd like to say a big thanks to joining us again, and do come back whenever you've got some updates for us. And I would like to say congratulations to Mickey Summers and all of the people that have worked alongside him to move things forward with the Nottingham CSA inquiry, and to everyone who's working for that throughout the country. You're doing a grand job, and the walls are finally starting to crumble down. So keep up the great work. And we also would like to say we'll see you all at Leeds tomorrow. Whoever can get there, come over and say hi to me and Jason. Obviously, Jason will be the one carrying my big pink feathery hat. But we'll be up there. We'll have a car boot full of Raconteurs new T-shirts. So if you want one of them, rather than get one in the post, you can come and grab one off us there. And have you got any links or information you'd like to give out before we draw a line under tonight, Guy?
Unfortunately, I haven't got anything at the moment. Just go to the Facebook page, Guy Taylor, yeah?
Yeah.
And people putting stuff on that, it's some really good stuff up there. And have a good day tomorrow, yeah?
We will do, Guy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, give our regards to Tom Crawford as well.
Yeah, I certainly will, yeah.
Okay. Right, thanks everybody for listening. Like I say, we'll be up at Leeds tomorrow, and don't forget we've got Mark Windows with Windows on the World, 9 p.m. Sunday. Then Monday we've got Dr. Sarah Myhill. Then Tuesday we've got Diane Jessie Miller. Is that Tuesday? Yes, it is, isn't it?
No. Wednesday.
Wednesday, is it? Oh no, sorry, it's Tuesday we've got Dr. Sarah. Then on Wednesday we've got Diane Jessie Miller. And then on Friday, we've got Gary Hazeltine. So quite a week ahead, folks. Thanks for listening. Hope you all enjoyed it. And good night.
What is it good for?
Absolute destruction!
Wow! I say, what is it used for?
Peddling reconstruction!
War is fought with bullet guns and tanks. Genocide is wrought by the bidding of the banks. You've got no voice 'cause you don't have a say. Rise above the parapet, they'll blow your life away. I say, whoa! God, you're. What is it good for?
Social deconstruction!
Wow! I say, what is it used for?
Raping and abduction!
War is a product of a sick, diseased mind, maximizing profit through killing off mankind. The guy have no value, so they'll send your kids to hell, while Zionism triumphs with the sound of the death knell. I say, whoa! God, you're. What is it good for?
Populous reduction!
Wow! I say, what is it used for?
Mind control induction!
Was manifested by instant corporate greed. Should you protest it, your kids will go in need. While you pay your taxes, you forge your own chains. You forfeit your freedom and nothing else remains. I say, wow! God, you're... What is it good for?
Interracial action.
Wow! I say, what is it used for?
Vibrational transaction.
If you're a citizen of the EU, you are entitled to keep your nose clean and do as you're told. Pay your bills without question. Pay for the privilege of being alive. Give your kids to the state. You know it's good for them. Give all your money to the rich. They know what's best for you. Stand by as your community crumbles. Watch TV and eat shit. Catch a terminal disease and die young. And, above all else,
Don't mention the war!